my work had always been heavily focused on children affected by war and child soldiers. And that came from my first experience being in the middle of the Liberian Civil War and seeing somebody who was my age. I was 10 when the war started, but seeing somebody my age who was holding a gun, and that image remains with me today. And as I started my work there early on, my first organization started when I was 14. But from very early on, there was a focus that even if we couldn't end the entire war, at least we wanted to do something to get the guns away from the children. And so in 1996, we ran something called the Children Disarmament Campaign, where groups of children were going and meeting warring faction heads in the rural areas and really appealing to them that children should be released. In 97, when peace came to Liberia, Charles Taylor won the elections, became president. And even as president, Charles Taylor went back to training child soldiers in a national military base, not to be used in Liberia because the war was over, but to ship them to Sierra Leone, essentially. And so I did a report, investigated, did a report on that, released a report, and that basically turned the Charles Taylor government after me. I mean, for 3 weeks, I was in hiding. I was 17 at that point. I was in hiding. They had soldiers deployed at my high school, and it was shut down. The editorial staff of newspapers that had carried the story were all arrested and held. My home had security officials there until I finally left Liberia because a friendly international government helped me to get out and essentially dressed me as a traditional dancer, put me in a car with a bunch of other traditional dancers. The whole storyline was that we're going on a tour of the country, and that's how I crossed over into Ivory Coast and eventually came to the US.